What lies beneath the Vatican is not only stone. It is memory. Behind the domes, the courtyards, the guarded gates, and the silence of one of the most powerful places on earth, there's a hidden world built not for treasure, but for something far more fragile. Documents, letters, maps, trials, diplomatic secrets, the paper shadow of centuries. This is the Vatican Apostolic Archive, one of the most important archives in human history. For generations, it was known by a name that seemed almost designed to create suspicion: the Vatican Secret Archive. That phrase sounded like a door at the center of the world, a chamber filled with forbidden knowledge, a place where history had been locked away, deliberately hidden from the eyes of ordinary people. But the truth is more subtle and perhaps more fascinating. The word secret did not originally mean conspiracy. It meant private, reserved, belonging to the Pope, protected from disorder, damage, and time. In 2019, Pope Francis officially changed the name, removing the word that had fed centuries of myth. The Vatican Secret Archive became the Vatican Apostolic Archive. But names do not erase legends. And when an institution holds centuries of correspondence between popes, kings, emperors, scientists, courts, missions, and governments, the world will always ask the same question: what's still waiting inside? The Vatican Apostolic Archive is not a library in the ordinary sense. It is not a museum built for crowds. It is not a place where visitors wander freely between shelves. It is a machine of memory. Its purpose is preservation. Its material is history. Its atmosphere is silence. Inside its collections are papal letters, diplomatic files, legal records, medieval manuscripts, maps, financial accounts, reports from distant missions, records of conflict, fragments of empires, and traces of decisions that shaped entire nations. Some documents are famous because they touched the lives of kings. Others are powerful precisely because they're small: a signature, a margin note, a seal, a folded sheet that passed from one hand to another during a moment of fear, pressure, ambition, or faith. The archive does not preserve history as a grand statue. It preserves history as paper. And paper is vulnerable. Like in fading, humidity can bend parchment. Heat can make memory brittle. Dust, fire, war, theft, neglect, and even the human hand can destroy what no empire can rebuild. That is why the Vatican Apostolic Archive feels so different from the ruins of ancient cities. A broken temple can still stand as a monument. A collapsed wall can still be measured. A statue can lose its face and still remain. But a lost document is different. Once it disappears, its voice disappears with it. The archive exists because the past can die quietly. The roots of this guarded memory reach deep into the history of the papacy, but the archive took a more formal shape in the early 17th century, under Pope Paul V, when papal records were gathered into a more centralized institution. From that moment, the Vatican was not only governing, negotiating, judging, and communicating. It was collecting the evidence of its own power. Every empire leaves ruins. The Vatican preserved shelves. And on those shelves, the history of the Church is only one part of the story. The archive touches the history of Europe, diplomacy, science, war, exploration, monarchy, revolution, theology, and law. It contains the traces of a world in which religion and politics were often impossible to separate. For a historian, this is not a vault of fantasy. It is a battlefield of evidence. Because documents can do what legends cannot. They can confirm, they can complicate, they can contradict, they can force a story to become more honest. That is why one of the most famous shadows connected to the archive is the Age of Galileo. The name alone carries drama, science, authority, faith, trial, tension, and the question of how institutions respond when new ideas threaten old structures. But the archive does not turn history into myth. It does something colder and more powerful. It makes myth face the documents. A letter does not have to shout to change the way we understand century. A trial record does not need theatrical language to reveal pressure. A diplomatic file does not need gold or marble to expose how power worked behind closed doors. That is the strange force of an archive. Its most explosive objects can look almost silent. A page, a seal, a name, a date, a decision. And this is where the real mystery begins. Not in the fantasy that every door hides a conspiracy, but in the tension between protection and access. Scholars cannot simply walk into the Vatican Apostolic Archive and open whatever they want. They apply for access. They need credentials. They work through catalogs, requests, rules, schedules, reading rooms, permissions, and control procedures. To the outside world, this can feel like secrecy. To the archive, it is order. And somewhere between those two interpretations, the legend grows. Open too little, and suspicion becomes louder. Open too carelessly, and fragile history may be damaged forever. The Vatican Apostolic Archive lives inside that paradox. The more carefully it protects the past, the more intensely the world wants to see it. There is something deeply cinematic about that tension. A closed door, a requested box, a scholar waiting in silence, a sealed folder brought into a reading room, the moment before a document is opened. And yet the most important revelation is often not dramatic in appearance. It may not look like a treasure chest. It may not glow under golden light. It may not prove a conspiracy or unlock a forbidden code. It may be a letter written in a trembling hand, a report from a distant court, a map drawn for strategy, a legal record that preserved the words of people long dead, a papal response to a crisis that once shook Europe. The archive is filled with objects that look silent until someone learns how to listen. And what they reveal is not only the history of the Vatican. They reveal the architecture of power itself. Who writes history? Who keeps it? Who is allowed to read it? Who decides when a century is ready to be examined? And what happens when the memory of the world is preserved inside a private institution? These questions are why the Vatican Apostolic Archive remains so fascinating. Its mystery is not merely about what may be hidden. Its mystery is about who controls the doorway between past and present. Because archives are never neutral spaces. They are places of selection, survival, and authority. For every document that survives, countless others are lost. For every record cataloged and protected, others vanish through fire, war, accident, censorship, decay, or indifference. The archive's power comes not only from what it holds, but from the fact that so much of history did not survive anywhere else. Within its walls, memory has been protected against enemies that do not look dramatic, but are relentless. Moisture, insects, fading ink, broken bindings, temperature, careless handling, time itself. In that sense, the Vatican Apostolic Archive is also an engineering achievement, not of bridges, aqueducts, or towers, but of preservation. It is a war against decay fought quietly, every day, in controlled rooms, on protected tables, under careful light. The battlefield is parchment. The enemy is time. And the victory is that a fragile sheet can outlive a kingdom. This may be the real wonder beneath the Vatican. Not that history is hidden there, but that history still survives there at all. Imagine the archive as a city beneath a city. Above it, the Vatican is stone, ceremony, basilicas, courtyards, and sacred architecture. Below and within, another city exists, not made of streets and fountains, but of corridors, shelves, boxes, files, catalogs, and rooms where the air itself is part of the protection. Its citizens are documents. Its buildings are cabinets. Its streets are silent passageways. And every sealed box is a door. Some doors open onto diplomacy, letters passing between the Holy See and the courts of Europe, where words could prevent war, justify power, or negotiate fragile alliances. Some open onto conflict, reform, revolution, empire, missions, persecution, ambition, and fear. Some open onto science and belief, where the universe itself became a matter of argument. Some open onto the private mechanics of an institution that survived the fall of kingdoms, the rise of nations, and the transformation of the modern world. To walk through such a place, even in imagination, is to feel history not as a timeline, but as weight. Not every document is dramatic, but together, they form a quiet anatomy of the world. And that is why the old name was so powerful. Secret Archive sounded like the beginning of a conspiracy. But the real story is far more complex. Secrecy, in this world, is not always a monster. Sometimes it is a system, a set of rules, a method of survival, a way of preventing the past from being consumed by the very curiosity it creates. And yet, the danger remains. When memory is guarded too tightly, it begins to look like myth. When a door stays closed long enough, the imagination fills the room behind it. That is what happened to the Vatican Archive. A reserved institution became a global legend. Its corridors became symbols. Its boxes became mysteries. Its silence became a screen onto which the world projected every suspicion it had about power, religion, and hidden history. But if we strip away the cheap conspiracy, something even more compelling remains. A place where the past is not dead. A place where the past is waiting. Waiting in folders. Waiting in handwriting. Waiting in ink that has barely survived the centuries. Waiting for the right scholar, the right question, the right permission, the right moment. Because history is not only what happened. History is what can still be read. The Vatican Apostolic Archive reminds us that civilization is fragile. Not only because cities fall and rulers die, but because memory itself can be destroyed by light, water, heat, and neglect. A century can disappear if no one protects its paper. A war can become rumor if its records are lost. A voice can vanish if its letter turns to dust. And once that happens, no cathedral, palace, or monument can bring it back. This is why the archive matters. It is not merely a locked collection behind ancient walls. It is one of the places where humanity has tried to defend memory from oblivion. And still, every closed box leaves behind a question. What has already been found? What remains unread? What waits in a file that no one has requested for decades? What story lies folded in darkness? Not because it is forbidden, but because no one has yet asked the right question. Beneath the Vatican, the past does not sleep like a buried ruin. It waits like a sealed letter. And perhaps that is why the archive continues to hold the imagination of the world. Not because it promises easy secrets, but because it holds something far more powerful. The possibility that history is not finished speaking. Inside the Vatican Apostolic Archive, memory survives in silence, cataloged, guarded, aging in the dark. And somewhere in that silence, behind a door, inside a box, beneath centuries of dust and care, a fragment of the world may still be waiting to be read.